Thanks everyone for joining us. This is just an hour's webinar just to go through the application process for the environmental quality mark. I'll start off by saying a little bit about what the environmental quality mark is for those who don't know much about it. So for those who do, just bear with us, and then we'll go into the sort of guided tour of the platform and filling in the questionnaire and so on. So for those who don't know me, I'm Steph Mullen. I'm an associate for the environmental quality mark. So I come and do assessment visits and support businesses who are applying and who are already awarded to do better and support them on their EQM journey, and as well as doing various consultancy projects for the EQM as well. Faith is here as well. She's the director of the Environmental Quality Mark CIC, so she's also here too as co-host, just in case we have, like, if I have any internet issues or anything like that. If anything happens, she can carry on without me, and obviously she can help answer your questions as well. Oh, we've got Tom just joined us, so I'll let him in. Or have you done that, Faith?
I've let him in.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Faith, if you can keep an eye on if anyone else joins us. I think we've got at least one other person, and then I can concentrate on presenting. That would be great. So, hello everybody. Hi, Tom, for joining us. Thanks for joining us, and we're just getting started. Tom, as you've just joined us, assuming you can hear, do you want to say hello and just let us know that you can hear us okay? Tom, can you hear us? Okay, well, hopefully you can. But just to reiterate, I've let everyone know that this is being recorded, and your video's off anyway. But if you don't want to be featured on the replay that's being sent out, then you feel free to have your video turned off. Okay. So what we're going to cover in this webinar, very briefly, we'll cover what the EQM is and who it's for, why apply for the EQM, the application process, how to register, so how to get started, navigating the EQM platform, filling in the questionnaire and carbon audit, which is the main part of this hour will be spent on that. And there's a couple of additional features which we'll briefly show you as well. And then there'll be time for questions at the end. So what is the environmental quality mark? From now on, we'll probably refer to it as the EQM, but when we do, we mean the environmental quality mark. It is a certification mark for green organisations, and it is registered with the Intellectual Property Office. So it's protected by law and governed by clear regulations. It's not just a pretty badge. It means something. It's official recognition of what you're doing. You've demonstrated, you've been assessed as you've gone through a fairly rigorous but friendly process of assessment. So people can have faith in it that it does actually mean something. And there are two well-established regional schemes managed by the Environmental Quality Mark Community Interest Company. One is in the Peak District, which has been going for just over 20 years now, and that is owned by the Peak District National Park Authority. And then there's a regional scheme in Staffordshire, owned by the Staffordshire County Council, and that has been going for just over 10 years now. So they're well established, and we have a growing number of a wide range of award holders in those two schemes. And we now have a nationwide scheme so that anyone in the country can apply. So it doesn't matter where you are in the country, you are welcome to apply. If you're in the Peak District or Staffordshire, you can apply, and if you're successful and you're awarded the PDEQM or the SEQM respectively, then you can also use the nationwide scheme badge as well, because for some businesses it might be relevant to have both, if that's applicable. You might be doing stuff locally but also work with customers from around the country as well. And it is a place-based award, so no matter where you are, whether it's Peak District, Staffordshire, or anywhere else, it is focused around your local area. So how do you look after your place, and how do you show to your customers what's special about it? It's a 2-year award with annual review. So if you are awarded the EQM, you'll get a certificate which you have to display. If you have a client-facing business, premises, then you will have to display the certificate, up on your wall, and you'll also have, an digital badge that you can put on your website and share on social media or wherever you might put it on, email signatures and so on. And that certificate lasts for 2 years, but there are annual reviews. So we'll come and see you every year, but every 2 years you'll have your full assessment to renew your EQM award. As I've said, we've got a wide range of award holders. These are just some of them, giving you an idea of the sorts of businesses we've got. We welcome applications from all types of businesses. We've got pubs and restaurants, B&Bs and other holiday accommodation. We've got makers of small things. We've got makers of big things. And we've got consultancies, charities, you name it, they're there. And even if your type of business isn't already an award holder, doesn't mean that it's not for you. And any questions, please just get in touch. So as I said, we've got, who is the EQM for? We've got a wide range of award holders, as I said, from artists to B&Bs, farmers, museums, you name it. And size-wise as well, any size business is welcome to apply. The EQM is designed with small businesses in mind. The EQM CIC is a small business itself, and I think every member of the EQM team also runs a small business separately with their other hat on as well. So we're all used to the challenges that small businesses face, which obviously helps us to support our award holders with all the various challenges that running a small business can have, especially when it comes to trying to be more sustainable. And we're also one of the most cost-effective green certifications that you could apply for. There are various ones. There are, sort of bigger ones that you could apply for. There's B Corp, there's ISO 14001, but they can be very overwhelming for small businesses who have limited resources, and obviously can cost quite a fair amount as well. So, as I said, it's designed with small businesses in mind, but any size business can apply. Same goes for, whether you're a profit-making business or you're a not-for-profit, you're a community group or an event, you might be a public body. We welcome applications from all types of businesses, as long as you can demonstrate that you are committed to doing better for the environment and for people and for communities, and that you can demonstrate you are making active improvement in 5 core areas, our 5 principles, which are business and economy. So how are you helping your local economy? And that could be through demonstrating that you are purchasing from local businesses, for example, or you're signposting your customers to local businesses. That's just one way that you might be helping your local economy. Then there's global environment. So that's when we're looking at your carbon footprint and the ways that you can reduce your carbon emissions, reduce your waste, and that wider impact you might be having. And also what positive impact you might be having as well. We always like to look at both sides of the coin, reducing your negative impacts, increasing your positive impacts. Then we look at local environment. So what impact are you having? How are you reducing the negative impact, and what positive impact are you having on your local environment? And that might be on your land, the land that you manage, your garden, or obviously if it was a agricultural business, your larger area of land that you have. Or it might be through getting involved with local projects that help the environment, managing, conserving local habitats and things like that. Lots of different ways that you can help your local environment. Then we look at people and communities. So, and that goes from you and your team and what you're doing to support them. Do you employ local people? Are you an inclusive employer? And then we, go outwards from there, and we look at, the people in your local area and how you're helping them. And then obviously looking even wider than that and looking at the global and international community as well, and how you might be helping those in different ways. Again, lots of different ways that you can be. And then we look at the special qualities of your local area. So as an example, Peak District has a set number of what they call special qualities that they like to promote, and how you might be encouraging your customers to learn about those and enjoy them, such as one of them being beautiful views, for example. And if you were a B&B, you might have some visitors coming and staying in your B&B, and you might talk to them about, some, great walks that you've got from your doorstep that, takes them on a lovely walk and helps them to enjoy the beautiful views, and how they might do that in an environmentally friendly way. Leaving their car at home and going for a walk or cycling, bringing their litter home with them and things like that. So, and every, local area is different, but you will all have special qualities that you might focus on. And it's about how your understanding, how you promote those special qualities to customers, and how you encourage them to enjoy the local area in an environmentally friendly way. So why apply for the EQM? As we've already touched on, it's official recognition and mark of distinction that sets your business apart. So you don't just talk the talk, you have been assessed and you can demonstrate that you walk the walk too. What's good for the environment is often good for business. So a big part of operating a more sustainable business is running things more efficiently, wasting less, for instance, and that is good for the environment, and it can also obviously reduce your running costs. And the environment is of growing importance to your stakeholders, users, customers, funders. It's becoming more of a requirement for more and more grant funding applications, for tenders, and so on. And in terms of attracting new customers, as I said, it's becoming more and more important to more people when they are making choices on where to spend their money. They want to feel good about those choices. And as more and more people are becoming aware of the issues around sustainability, that is coming up on their priority list. And there's a little stat there from a Meaningful Planet 2023 report that said 68% of UK consumers say sustainability has become more important to them in the last 2 years. And there are various, bits of studies and research that are all, showing this sort of same trend. And I've got a little graph on the next slide to show you in a minute as well. So giving your customers a better, more memorable experience and turning them into super fans. What we often encourage our award holders to do is think about the customer journey from the point when they first come across. They might be thinking about, having a holiday, for example, or buying a certain thing. How do they come across you? What are the touch points, and what message are you sending? How are you helping them have a good experience all through the journey, whether you're selling products or services? How can you help them make good memories, which will, want them to come back to you time and time again and become your super fan, so that they will tell other people about you. And it's also about that two-way relationship, and having those conversations and encouraging customers to learn about and hopefully change their behavior in terms of sustainability as well. You'll also join a supportive network and learn how others succeed. So our award holders are all, really friendly and really happy to share their knowledge and experience and support each other, to do better. So you'll have lots of opportunities to communicate with those, offline and in person, online and in person at various events, and learn what's worked for them and what hasn't worked and things like that. And we are a friendly bunch, although we are, we're very serious about sustainability. And, like, as I said, there are certain criteria that you have to, demonstrate you can meet. We want you to succeed. We want to help you do better for people and planet. And, we will, hold your hand through the journey, through your journey. And, we want you to succeed. So As I said, we are a friendly bunch. So I mentioned in a little graph that we wanted to show you, and just to show that the trend of that customer interest in choosing more sustainable options. The Since the onset of the recession in 2007, the total value of ethical markets has gone from 35.5 billion to 141 billion. And we have the slightly dated graph, so we've added on a couple of more recent figures from this report that's been released. And it's the Cooperative Bank's Ethical Consumer Report if you wanted to, look at that and find out more about it.
They very annoyingly stopped making that graph.
Mm.
Very inconsiderate of them.
But even so, I think it still, demonstrates that trajectory is going up. So the application process is actually a cycle, because once you get to let's say the end of the first application process and you are hopefully awarded, that's not the end of it. As I said, it's a 2-year certification, but there are annual reviews, and then obviously we want you to renew your award. So there's a cycle. So although we're going through steps, imagine it as a cycle as we're talking about it. So step 1, register as an individual. We'll only need to do that once. You won't need to keep doing that. And then you add your organization. And then there'll be a quick eligibility check just to make sure that your business is worth going through the process. And then assuming that you pass the eligibility check, we'll get in touch with you, and then you'll be able to start filling in your first audit questionnaire. So then you complete your first audit questionnaire and your carbon audit, which is where it calculates your carbon footprint. And then once you've got all that information in there and you've uploaded any evidence that you want to upload, we'll come to that, submit your application. And at that point, you'll be sent an invoice for the annual fee, which would need to be paid before the assessment visit. So the next step is an inspection visit. So an EQM project officer, such as myself, will arrange to visit you on site to see evidence of the statements made in your application. And then after that assessment visit, the project officer will score your application against the 5 criteria, which are the 5 principles which we went through in the previous slide, and makes a recommendation to an independent awards panel. And then the awards panel meets and considers your application and evidence from the inspection. Then if they deem that you have met the criteria of the EQM scheme, then your organisation receives the EQM award. If you aren't given the award, then you will receive feedback on how to improve. As I said, we want to help people do better. So even if you're not quite, there at that point, you will receive, some support to ways that you can improve so that you can, apply again. And then finally, there's the update and review. So if you're awarded, that'll be for 2 years, and then there'll be annual update visits as well. So a year after you have been awarded, we'll come and visit you just to give you, some support, make sure you're on track with any goals that you've set, and hear how things are going. And then in the second year, your visit will be a renewal visit. So we'll go through a similar sort of wider assessment process and scoring. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a guided tour on to the EQM platform now. The next slide will just show you the registration screen that you'll come to when you go to register. And then we'll show you what your dashboard looks like. So once you've registered and you've set up an organization on the platform and you've had the eligibility check, and you pass that stage, then you'll be able to see your dashboard, which we'll come to. So the registration screen, when you go to the EQM website, you can click on register, which is up in the top right corner, this is the screen you'll go to. And all you need to do is put in your first name, last name, an email address, set a password, confirm your password, and click register. While we're on this screen, we'll just briefly cover the costs. So again, you can register for free, and you can use the questionnaire and the carbon audit tool for one, once only for one 12-month period, and you can do that for free. But if you want to apply for the environmental quality mark and have that assessment visit, that is when you will need to pay. So it's £250 for businesses with fewer than 10 employees, £550 for businesses with 10 employees or more, and not-for-profits are charged at the lower rate of £250. So that's the base, the registration screen, very simple, just to, that's getting the started process, really quick and easy, doesn't cost anything at this point. I encourage everyone to do that straight away if you haven't done it already. Once your organisation has been added and the eligibility check done, you will then be able to access your dashboard for that organisation, and this is what you will see. So you'll see underneath your audits, there's a Start Your First Audit button, and that's what you need to click to access your questionnaire. We've also got some FAQs on that page, so you can have a look at those in your own time. And we will come back to these, but there is a very nifty net zero tool, carbon tracker, and an action plan tool as well. And you can also, I don't think you can see it on this, they might be behind. No. Once you've been awarded, you will also be able to access your online certificate from this dashboard as well. It's not here because this is a new unawarded organisation that I'm using. Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing my screen and actually take you to I'll share again. I'll take you to the EQM platform and actually guide you through. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see this. So as I said, once you've registered, once you've added your organisation, you can access your dashboard like I just showed you, and you can click on Start a New Audit button, and it will take you to this questionnaire. So this is what you'll be presented with. This is our testing profile, so that ignore any entries that might be here. This is literally just to show you how it works. So you will see on the left-hand side, you've got your navigation of the questions, and you can scroll up and down that, and you can skip between different sections, different questions if you want to. But obviously, when you're first filling it in, I suggest you go through it one question at a time in the order intended. There's different sections. There's the first section is basic information, where you put in, what about your business, when did you start, what do you do, and you want to paint a picture here about what you do, who are your customers, why do you do what you do, how do you feel about it says the Peak District here on this example, but if you're in Staffordshire, it will say Staffordshire, and if you're anywhere else, it will say your local area. So wherever you see Peak District here, just think your local area. How do you feel about the environment and your local area? And so this is a chance for you to paint a picture for that panel, who will make the decision on whether you get awarded the environmental quality mark. So you don't need to write essays in these questions, but you want to put in enough information so that they can make an informed decision. So I'm not going to go through every question here. But we start off with sort of fairly easy questions. When did you start? You just put in a date. Any awards, ratings, and recognition that you might have achieved that you want us to know about. And this question is that one that I've just and you can type in here. Oh, it's already been updated. If you when you first do this and you haven't entered any information, there will be just a text box there. If you see that update change button, just click on it and then you can type into it. This has been used before, so you can see some previous answers from previous years. When you do it for the first time, they won't be there. So you click onto the text box and then you can type in whatever you like in that box. So again, this is where you want to tell your story and paint that picture for the panel. And then we've got some sort of yes, no, sort of tick box questions. Do you commit to? And obviously, we want you to, if you want the to be awarded the EQM, then you want to be saying yes to these questions and commit to them. I will just talk a little bit about your impact here. So we've got two questions about your impact, and one is about what do you feel is your most positive environmental impact? Because we used to just ask about what you think your most negative environmental impact is, and to highlight, so it might be transport, for instance. You might do a lot of car travel, and you'd put that as your negative. But we've more recently added the question about what do you think your most positive environmental impact is, because that's just as important for us to think about the positive things that we do. Certainly in terms of like motivation to keep going, keep making more changes. So that's there now as well. And then once you've completed that first section, you can use the next and previous buttons up here, by the way. I haven't mentioned those. So you've got previous and next, so we can go question by question. And when you do that, it will automatically save it as you go. And then you can scroll down at any point and access any other questions. So I'm just going to skip to the next section, the what and the how. This is when we get into more detail about how you run your business and the different operational aspects of it. So once you're on here, we're looking at different aspects such as your marketing and promotional activities. So we're again talking about that customer journey. When they first come across you, what do they see, read, hear about you? What message are you giving, and how do you show them about what you're trying to achieve in terms of being more sustainable, and how do you encourage them to think about the environment, and show them how your local area is special. So we're thinking about those different touch points, how they might be through social media, it might be through your website. There are lots of different ways that they might come across you. So think about all those different things. And then we're looking at the inquiry slash booking slash point of sale. So it's that next step on the customer journey. So they've come across you, and then at that point when they buy something from you, what communication is there between you and the customer, and again those sort of same questions about how are you showing them and encouraging them to engage with your goals of being more sustainable. Then we look at transport, and if you are a bricks and mortar business, your shop or a B&B or whatever it might, if you have a premises, then the place questions are going to be relevant for you. If you are like an online only business, obviously not so relevant. So don't feel like you have to, if anything is really, really not relevant, then obviously you don't have to answer it, but it might make you think about, well, I might not have a premises, but I kind of access, for instance, you might not have a premises that you can make accessible, but you might think about accessibility for your website and things like that. So there are, ways that you can answer the question. If in doubt, please just get in touch about anything. And then we look at cleaning, laundry. Again, that's sort of, only going to be relevant to some businesses and not others. Purchasing, that's going to probably be relevant to every kind of business. How do you think about the purchases that you make and trying to make more sustainable choices there? What supplier screening do you do? Just I haven't clicked on it. Do you try and buy secondhand or recycled products? Do you try and buy in bulk to reduce the carbon emissions and things like that? And again, I'm not going to click on all of these. This is more about just showing you, what this looks like, how to navigate it. There is time for questions at the end if you've got any questions about any of this. And again, thinking back to those 5 principles, all of those 5 principles are in these questions in one way or another. So we start talking about people and community. So who do you employ? How do you train them? How do you develop them? Are you inclusive and things like that? and then your local community and the global community, as we've already talked about. And if there's anything you want to get in here that you just don't think fits in any of the other questions, then there is another question where you can just tell us more about anything. And then you get to your carbon audit. Now, this is where you put your data about your energy, transport, potentially waste and potentially water usage. And if you generate electricity through renewables, then you can enter the data for that as well. And this should be for a 12-month period. And that can fall in line with your tax year or any 12-month period you like, but you want to make it easy for yourself. So whatever works for your business is fine, but you want to do it for a 12-month period, a set 12-month period again and again and again, so that you can see, the comparison. So if I click update here, we can go through to the carbon audit process. So first you'll set your award period, so a from and a to date. As I said, that would be a 12-month period, completely up to you which 12 months you choose. And here is where you put in some, is this new, Faith? I feel like I've not seen this before.
Yes, it is new. There might be other new features because we do
I can see
invest
why
in
it's
this
been
tool
added,
quite a
but I
lot.
don't think
And
I've seen that yet.
yeah.
So
There's going to be a new waste section and a new coolant section appearing soon as well. So don't get discombobulated by that.
This platform has, is constantly being improved based on, feedback from the users and obviously things in the world of sustainability and knowledge around, carbon emissions changes all the time. So it's always, being improved, but, don't worry, it's not going to look completely different every time you log in here. But this is new to me today.
So the point of this is, if you grow or shrink or change as a business, it's difficult to track and compare your carbon footprint year to year. But if you put in number of employees, annual turnover, profit, the floor space of your premises, or any other unit that's useful to you, do you want to just scroll down, Steph? Yeah. Does that say covers? Oh, I'm going to get Ross to change that. So that covers bed nights, guests, whatever. That's going to be a flexible unit for you. That means that when you get the carbon footprint result, it divides it by these units. You don't have to do all of them. You just pick some sensible ones for you or do all of them. And then it gives you carbon footprint per unit, which means you can compare year to year irrespective of any other changes in your business. So they're useful to fill in. I would recommend you fill in all of them, but it's up to you what makes most sense for your business.
Thank you. Okay, so once you've done that, you'll then go through to energy. So this is, if it's going to let me click on it, where you can put in your energy usage for different types of energy. So we've got electricity, gas, fuel, oil, biomass, LPG, coal. And you should hopefully have this information available to you through your energy provider. And you can, if you've got more than 1 meter, you can add a second one. There's a button, add a meter there. And so you can give a meter a name. If you've got more than one, it might help you to give it a name that makes it recognizable to you. So when you come to do it the next time, you know which one's which. But that is just for your usage.
You do have to name it though, I'm afraid. That's a glitch of the system if you call it that. You will. So if you've only got one, you just have to say
electricity or
electricity or whatever.
It could be anything.
Yeah. But you could put meter under the stairs or daytime or nighttime or whatever it is that's useful to you.
And then you've got your kilowatt hours used. And I can't quite see this because of the screen, and there's a little toggle button to say whether it's a green electricity tariff that you want or not. And you do have some useful additional information boxes down here, and this is just for your use. This won't affect your carbon footprint calculation, but it can be useful to you. So have a look at this and you can decide whether to do it for you or not. It's just, again, coming to help what might be helpful to you, coming back to it in a year's time and think, oh, well, I had to do this a certain way because, so you've got a little notes section there just for your, and I would definitely use that if it was me because my memories are rubbish. And then is there anything else you want to say about the electricity, the energy aspect? So transport, there are, sorry, it's been a little bit slow. Bear with me. There we go. So you have now, because this has already been done, it's skipped straight to that. When you first go on it, you will see this screen. And you can choose whether to enter your data for transport in a detailed way per vehicle, or if you want to give a summary, information, which can be easier, but obviously isn't as accurate. So it is completely up to you. You can have a look at both, and see which one is for you. And there's an optional staff commute. So when we're talking about carbon footprint, there are different what are called scopes, and scopes 1 and 2. I'm not going to go into this in too much detail and bog you down, but scopes 1 and 2 are compulsory when we're reporting on carbon emissions, and your business travel, which is obviously travel that you do for business, not including staff commute travel. That is the essential. And then your staff commute is what is in what's called scope 3, and that is optional. So you can include that. It gives a more accurate, real picture of your carbon footprint. If you have staff and they are commuting to your place of work, you can choose to include that if you want. It is optional, you don't have to. It might be that you feel like you can't do that right now, but you might come back, you might decide to do that in future, and that's absolutely fine. But we won't look at that today, or I'll just click on the what do you think, Faith? Do you want to show them the detailed information or the summary information all day?
Actually, the detailed information,
Yes,
I think most of the businesses here today are
probably
quite
can.
small businesses. So the detailed you put in by number plate, and you can look up
Yeah.
the emissions information based on your number plate. There's a little widget there where you can do that.
So this is, and you've obviously got your, you've got down this left-hand side, you've got different types of transport. You've got cars, trains, buses, planes, flights, taxis, and then we've got the staff commuting. Okay, so when we're at cars, which obviously a lot of people are going to have some sort of car transport. Again, this is the detailed option. So you can choose the type of vehicle, you can put in the mileage per year and all this information, and it will calculate what the carbon emissions for that vehicle are. And then you can add another vehicle and do that for as many vehicles as you need to do it. And then if you click on the train, for instance, you can add it per, how many journeys have you done. So again, you can choose whether it's UK international, you can put in the mileage, was it a return journey or not, and you can add a description, where did you travel to and from, and then you can add as many journeys as you need to. And again, for bus and coach journeys and flights and so on. So once you've inputted all that data, then it will obviously total your carbon footprint for transport. Now we did say that the staff commute is completely optional. If you want to ask us about that or talk to us about that, then please do get in touch. Anything more on transport while we're just talking about it very briefly, Faith? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. Do you want to just quickly show the aggregated version?
Yeah, okay. So the summary information option, let's just unclick that. Ooh.
You don't do
on cars.
both. You
There we
choose
go.
one
This
or
goes,
the other.
yeah.
Um,
So then we've got transport type, got various options here that you can select from, and the distance in miles. And again, you can add vehicles. Okay.
so the very simplest way you could do it if you wanted to be really what I'd call fast and dirty, if you had 5 company cars in your organization and you couldn't, you're just really short of time, you could just select 5 average cars and put in the total mileage of all the cars, if that's all the information you had or all the information you quickly wanted to get through the next bit. But obviously that's less accurate,
Mm.
but sometimes you just need to kind of know roughly and push on if you've limited time.
So if at all possible, we would always encourage doing the detailed version if you can. Then we go
But
on
if
to
you,
walk.
if you've got limited time, and you've got 200 vehicles in your
Yeah,
fleet.
yeah. Obviously, it depends on how many vehicles we've got to enter data for. Um, so water, if you have a water meter, then you can enter. You'll know your usage and you can enter it here. If you don't have a water meter, then you can just skip this page. Again, you've got some useful additional information which won't affect the carbon footprint, but it might be useful for you to add some notes there. And then energy generation. So if you have solar panels or a wind turbine, you can add again, you need to give it a name. So solar panel or, wind turbine. If you've got more than one, then obviously you want to make it obvious which one you're talking about. And then enter your data there. And again, you can add more than one. And
And
again, useful notes section.
this is just stuff that's exported to the grid, not the total generation. Because if you're generating it and using it, all that does is reduce your mains. So that will be reflected in the reduction of mains use. This is stuff that you export.
Yeah. And it does say that up there so obviously if anyone is coming back to this and isn't sure, it's all up there in the information at the top. And then once you have filled that all in, I don't know what data has been entered here, and no data is being put in here. You will have a nice little pie chart. I should have gone in and put in some data as we went through. You'll have a nice little pie chart there showing the split between energy, transport, and water.
I'll find some example data to share in a minute if you'd like, Steph.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. And carbon intensity figures. Obviously, it's not showing because there's no data in here, but they'll show you like lots of really useful information about your carbon footprint. And obviously now we've got that profile information at the beginning. You can break it down into covers, bed nights, and things like that, if that's relevant to your business. And so that is the carbon audit. And then coming back to the questionnaire, once you've done that, you'll come to how can the last section of the questionnaire. There were just three questions. How can EQM support your business? Let us know any ideas, suggestions, things that you need our help with, ideas for how we can help your business or businesses in general. And how will you contribute to the EQM scheme? So this is a two-way relationship. The sort of EQM ethos is that award holders give back to the scheme, support other EQM award holders, help promote the scheme and things like that. So any ways that you think that you can contribute to the EQM scheme, support other award holders, help promote the scheme, please put it there. And finally, a feedback question. So we've already said we keep making improvements to the process and the platform. It's so much more user friendly than it was when I first started working for the EQM, and that is often as a result of feedback that we get from people who are using it. So please, if you come across anything that doesn't work for you, or if you've got any ideas for how it can be improved, please do let us know. Having just completed this, if anything is in your mind at that point, this is the place to put it. Otherwise, you can send us an email, give us a call. Um, and on that note, if you do have any technical problems using it, then please do get in touch and we'll try and get those sorted out, as soon as possible so that you can complete your application. But it's very rare now that we have technical issues. Obviously, with any tech, things can happen. But as I said, we have a really good web developer who can help us resolve any issues if needed as well. So please just get in touch. So that is the questionnaire.
I
Faith,
can
if you
share
want
my
to,
screens and show
yeah,
results
if I
if you like.
stop sharing, and then Faith can show her examples with you.
So this is what the results page looks like. You get a little pie chart showing your energy, your carbon emissions, how many tons of carbon in total, but how that's broken down in terms of energy, transport, and this case has waste in it because that's the next iteration. But if you apply in this round, you won't see waste. That's going to be uploaded in the next few weeks. We've got a waste and coolant section that's coming in. And it just also needs to be borne in mind that, for example, if you have no vehicles to do with your business, you can just skip that section. That's absolutely not a problem. And there's some businesses that are opposite. They don't have any bricks and mortar, but they do go around with customers, taking them on guided walks or whatever. So they only have transport, and that's also fine. So you can see here it breaks down where the carbon footprint is coming from, and then here you can see the carbon intensity ratios, that carbon footprint per staff, per turnover, per revenue. I didn't fill them all in. Those are just the 3 I did fill in quickly to show you. And then there's further breakdown. So within electricity, it shows you, within energy, sorry, it shows you what's electricity, what's gas, what's coal in this instance. In the transport, it shows you which are fleet vehicles, i.e. vehicles owned by the business. And we've got 2 lots of fleet vehicles in this particular example. Why not? The water audit, no data was submitted. I'll give you a sneaky preview of the waste. We have 100% mixed recyclables in this instance. It's and have we got no exported data? So shall I also show the net zero tool, Steph?
I was going to say, if you're already sharing, do you want to share it from there?
Yeah,
because this was the next thing anyway. So the additional features that we wanted to just show you is this net zero carbon tracker tool, which Faith will show you now, and then the action plan after that.
So once you've done your carbon footprint, there's this really cool thing where you can think, right, well, I've heard of this thing, net zero. What on earth does that mean in my business? You think, okay, net zero, we're meant to achieve this nationally by 2015. What does that actually mean? And so it starts off at the beginning of this graph with your carbon footprint, and then it shows you what your percentage reduction each year would need to be to hit net zero by 2050. And in this case, it's 16% a year, every year to hit net zero. But if you say, okay, I want to be ahead of the game and I want to hit net zero by 2040, but also you can use the slider to show what happens when will I hit net zero if I reduce my energy use by 6% a year. So you're actually not going to hit net zero at all by the look of that. If you want to hit net zero by 2030 in this case, where, oh goodness, we need a good 20% reduction, and we're still not going to hit net zero by 2030. It's going to be 2033. So you can have a play and it'll tell you the outcome. And it gives you a visualization of what it means, what we've all got to try and achieve to try and prevent catastrophic climate issues. So obviously larger industry weighs heavily on their shoulders, but we all need to play our part. So this just helps make it realistic for us. And it won't happen gradually year on year on year. If you make a big change in your business, for example, install renewables or have a big retrofit where you've got loads more installation, then it'll happen in jumps. But nevertheless, it gives you a feel for what's involved in achieving net zero.
It's also, just to add to that, it's also really good way of communicating to your stakeholders what you are trying to achieve, and you can let them know, where you are on, if you're on track with that or not.
Mm. And it tracks it year on year as well. In this example, we've got 3 years we've added data, and you can hover over and it shows you what the breakdown was in terms of tonnage. This business has obviously grown between 23 and 24, because the carbon footprint's increased. And you can set yourself some targets if you want to. I'm going to change the lighting in my shop or whatever, or I'm going to change my vehicle, and then see how those impact over the years. I'll stop sharing now.
Okay, I'll just go back to very quickly show you, we'll go back to the dashboard. Okay, so once you've completed your questionnaire, once you've done your carbon audit, you'll be able to see all that information about your business. So things are hiding. Once you have entered all the information into this questionnaire that you want, you've uploaded, oh, that's one thing we didn't talk about, is when you want to upload some evidence for each question, you'll see these tabs. You've got your responses, and that's where you type into, and then you've got evidence files. If you click on that, you can upload photos, PDFs. So it could be photos, you might be talking about your premises and things that you do to help nature in your garden, for example, and you might want to take a photo of that and upload that. Or it might be, you might be talking about sourcing supplies from ethical brands and things like that, and you might have a PDF, of a receipt evidencing that. You could upload that, for example. So that's where you upload your evidence. And for each question, you've also got your planned actions. So this, as you're going through the questionnaire, if it triggers, you might be saying, oh, we have achieved this, or we might be trying to do this. This is a place, a really useful tool to, actually put in here what your goals, what your actions are. You can set your deadlines, so you can type in here what's your action, what's your goal, put in a due date, and then you can come back to your action plan at any time. I'll show you in a minute how to access it from your dashboard. And you can change, you can be in progress when you've completed it. You can set it to completed. You can change the due date at any point if you need to. And there is a cancel drop option on this drop down. We would, say if some things just don't work out. The main thing here is that, what are you trying to achieve? The fact is that you're trying to, and you're considering different approaches, and something you might have a goal to install solar panels, for example. Turns out you can't, for it's not facing in the right direction, or other restrictions means you can't do it. So we would say you can add a comment there as to the reason why you've had to sort of leave that, or either put a pin in it and come back to it later, or it might be something that is just not possible. Put a comment there saying why, and then you can change it to cancelled. So you can access your action plan per question as you go through this. So as you're thinking of things, put your actions in at that point. It's really useful to do. Once you have completed this questionnaire, just click save. When you are at the bottom and you've got to the last question, you will see this big green submit button, and you need to click that. And then you're not quite finished yet. Terms and conditions, have a read through those. Tick agree to terms and conditions, and then click submit again. And that is the point where we will then have a look at your what you've submitted. You will get the invoice, which you'll need to pay before your assessment visit. And you can go back in and amend questions, but we'll say once you have submitted and we've done your assessment visit, at that point, we'll start scoring. And so at that point, any changes might not get seen in time. So once we've done it, if I go back, I'm not going to click submit on this because we use it as a test. So I'm just going to exit form. So once you've submitted, you will be able to click back here and continue adding information. There should be a little note there just to say, you have submitted, and when we start to score, anything that gets changed might not, it might be too late. And so coming back to your dashboard, you can access the net zero tool, which Faith just showed you, and you can access your action plan. Like I said, when you're going through the questionnaire, you can add specific actions related to those questions. And if you want to see them all in one place, you can come here and you can edit your action plan. And there's also these links to print your full action plan. And you'll also see print your active task list. The difference between those, your full action plan includes all your current action as well as those that are completed or cancelled. If you're just wanting to see what you're currently working on at the moment, then you can print your active task list. And that will just, give you a sort of PDF that you can print off. If you want to actually make amendments, change anything, then click on Edit Action Plan. And then you will see all your actions here in one place. And you can make any changes that you need to. And again, you can print your action plan and task list up here as well. That's a really useful tool. It is really for your use. It doesn't, really come into play with the scoring and, isn't assessed by the panel, but it is a useful thing to use, and we really encourage award holders to make use of it. If anyone does have any questions, I'm going to stop sharing, and now we'll do a bit of a Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand, either the old-fashioned way or using the Zoom hand raise. It's up to you.
Can I just interject at this point as well? Lucy's had to go. If anyone else has to go too, that's no problem at all. You have a question, drop us a line, give us a ring, no problem. Happy to deal with your question one-to-one, no problem at all. But equally, we can take them now too.
Can I start by asking that question? How do we get in touch? What's the best way of dropping you a line?
Let me share my screen and go back to my slides, because I have a final slide with that on it. And you can jot it down.
Well, can I ask another question in the meantime? Yeah. I completed the questionnaire, or semi-completed it, quite some time ago, I think April, May, and it would appear that you've made quite a few changes to the format of the questionnaire since then. I hope my previous efforts haven't all been lost. No, good.
They'll be there. Yeah, they'll definitely be there. I can check now as well, but it'll all just be there.
I will. After this, you've encouraged me to go and do just that. The other one is, as you were showing the various tabs for evidence and planned actions, I must admit, when I first completed this, I felt sort of obliged to put something in. Are you suggesting that those two tabs are more optional and completed as and when you see fit?
The actions, did you say?
Well, both the evidence and the planned actions, yes. Or do you require evidence for everything, which is quite tricky in some cases?
Yeah, not obviously, if you haven't got any evidence to upload, then that's fine. And we'll also remember we will be doing an assessment visit, so we can see things with our own eyes. But for anything that's not going to be a possibility, or you might just want to do, upload something anyway, and we might come and see it in person too. If you can upload evidence, great. If there just isn't any evidence to upload, then obviously that's fine. It depends what you're talking about, doesn't it? And do remember that obviously we will be coming.
Yeah, we'll be coming. So evidence is really useful, for example, for things like before and after, because we'll only see the after, we won't see the before, or an event that happened, photographs of the event. We can't attend that event. So things that we won't see that you couldn't show us during the assessment, the evidence is really useful for that.
Okay, I'll confine myself to that.
And in terms of actions, I would strongly recommend not putting an action against every question.
Yeah.
Because we quite often get really brimful of enthusiasm on the first round. And then when we come to do an interim catch up in year one, people tend to be really disappointed in themselves that they haven't achieved everything. It is better to put realistic things in. Prioritize, or if you do want to put everything in and capture all your ideas, fine. Give some of the things long deadlines. We can help you prioritize though during the assessment. That's
I
no
think I
problem.
got a bit too hung up on the evidence actions, if I'm honest with you. What you say is very encouraging. I've got a couple of other ones here. One of them on the carbon audit. We heat our premises with a biomass boiler, and the units of measure for fuel are tons, which is an impossible figure for biomass because obviously it dries, or in fact, we buy it wet and then we feed it onto the boiler dry. So I'm afraid I feel the accuracy of my carbon audit suffers as a consequence. And I just have to put the best figure I can come up with there, to be honest. And in any case, it gets delivered from the Chatsworth estate in a very sort of rudimentary manner by the truckload, and the truckload can vary quite considerably. It's I could give it. I mean, the most accurate measure, and believe it or not, is stacked area, because they're all, well, generally all half-meter billets, and therefore when you stack them all in racks, you can sort of get a vague idea of what the actual cubic meters of wood is. But in all other respects, it's quite complicated.
Faith, do you want to come in on that one? You've got better answering that one than me.
Yeah, I think the most important thing there is consistency about how you record it. Just pick a method and do it the same every time. I mean, it'd be really helpful if Chatsworth could weigh a unit for you.
They don't have a weight. Well, it wouldn't actually.
You don't think they would in the yard?
With biomass, it can be anywhere between 50 and 20% moisture content.
Yeah.
So that means a large proportion of, and we dry much of that wood on premises in any case.
Yeah.
And we're bound by all the off-gem HETAS obligations. So it's an absolute minefield of problems, I'm afraid. But
Yeah.
what I'm really warning you is I'll give my best answer to that question.
Yeah. Well, if it's any consolation, hopefully if everything's working the way it should on the tool, biomass actually isn't included in your carbon footprint. It's reported separately. Right. Because the UK government and the international governments, in their wisdom, believe biomass to be carbon neutral. We won't get me started on that.
Well, I know that there's a whole subject
in this context.
I could go on with there.
Yeah. So the figure will be recorded. It's not included in your core carbon footprint. So just do your best and try and be consistent and use the notes box.
Yeah, we would always say just try and be as accurate as you can and make a note in the notes box of any assumptions. Let's say. Okay,
one other quick question. Sorry to hog all the questions at the
moment.
All
right, but and then we'll see if anybody else needs to ask anything.
You say you can continue to add after you submit. Does that mean that if we submit before the 1st of November, which is your new deadline, that we can still carry on fine-tuning after? The reason I ask this question is because I'm going on holiday next week, right up until the very first week in November. And I was rather hoping that I'd get a little bit of a break when I got back from holiday.
We would suggest that you don't, once you've submitted, you can make changes. We would suggest that you don't make too many changes until you've got to your assessment. You can, though, as long as you speak to us about what they are. It's not a problem, and alert them to us. It's not set in ASPIC until we click award. So what happens more often than not is when we do the assessment, we'll see things that we want you to add or change. Why haven't you told us about this in the application? It's really brilliant what you're doing here. More rarely, why have you said that in your application when there's no evidence of it? That's much rarer in this country. That's not often happening. So we would do a final refinement before it goes to awards panel. And the awards panel might say, we need to see X, Y, and Z, and you might be given a 1-month period to put more stuff in. And then, so it's not set in ASPIC until we click award. But what we would suggest you don't do is add a load of stuff after the person's scored, because
I think it'll be more fine-tuning rather than anything else.
Yeah.
But how important is the 1st of November? I suppose another way of asking this question.
If your assessment is on the 5th of November, as a very, 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 very last thing, we would probably ask you, say, I don't know which day's Monday, Tuesday, whatever, to submit it 2 days before your assessment, because we need you to submit it by the 1st of November if we're seeing you, which is a Friday. If we're seeing you Tuesday, we need Monday to read it before we come see you on the Tuesday to do the assessment. So there's a little bit of wriggle room.
And this is so that we, this is all to do with the awards panel and when the awards panel is meeting. So
21st.
Yeah. So if you want to be considered at this upcoming awards panel meeting, then you need to be submitting by the 1st of November is what we're asking.
Yeah. And we need to send reports to the awards panel a week before they sit so they can read them. So I can't work out what a week before 21st is.
November, is there going to be another one on the 21st of December?
Right.
No. We have a couple a year. 3. Actually, there'll probably be a 3rd one in March. But that depends on who applies this time around. If we, it's fluid. We know for sure we've got one on the 21st of November. So I would recommend going for that one.
Okay.
Pulling stops out, doing it before your holiday. We book an assessment when you get back from your holiday. And hopefully you go to panel on the 21st, which means the absolute final version of the report needs to be 6 days before then when we send them off to awards panel for their consideration.
I'll get my skates on in that case. Just one final question for you. Number of employees, staff. What is that? Is that a critical? Is that an audited number? Or, I mean, to be honest, we have no payroll at all in a conventional sense, but we do have 2 staff members plus ourselves.
Just make sure you know and you're consistent year by year.
Yeah. Okay.
It's for your purposes to make, because if you grow and then you have a big team and then your carbon footprint goes up or whatever, suddenly get 100% occupancy and then you need to take more people on. That unit of division is interesting to keep things steady. So you can see the comparison year to year, even if your carbon footprint increases because you've grown.
I understand.
So,
no, that's fine.
Thanks, Andrew. Did anybody else have a question before we jump off? Thought I saw someone else raise their hand, but I might have imagined it.
Andrew, your information is all still there. I'm looking at it now.
Well done. Well, thanks very much, Faith. I was getting very cold feet during this as I saw all these new fields being added to your questionnaire.
I would also like to make one point before I forget, is that you won't see all the questions, each one of you. The question pack is editable. When you register, what do I want the award for? If you're making something like Martin, you won't see the food questions. Right. If you're a B&B, you won't see the making questions. You don't see everything.
No, I think it was more the ones at the beginning, and you've obviously enhanced the carbon audit as well, and a few other things. I thought, oh my God, this is all going to be different, but it isn't.
No. It'll all feel the same. Yeah. It'll be fine.
And like Faith said, if at any point you have any questions, if you have any technical issues filling in the form, or if you're not sure where to put something, then please just get in touch. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. And we look forward to seeing your applications.
Yeah, good luck. I really hope you all manage to meet the deadline. Bear in mind, we need to book an assessment with you as well. So if you think you're definitely going to go for the 1st of November, drop us a line and say, can we book an assessment? Because that first week after you've submitted is probably the week we'll do the assessments. So good luck. Get in touch if you're planning to go for it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Same to you.
Hopefully talk soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you both. Bye now.